Well, the Thunder winning the NBA title somehow overshadowed by other NBA news. Pacers star Tyrese Haliburton, the latest NBA star to go down with an Achilles injury. A thin Eastern Conference next year suddenly gets thinner. Meanwhile, the Rockets acquiring Kevin Durant from the Suns. Durant stays out of the East while potentially having an impact, though, on the 2025 trade market. One less team that will be interested perhaps in Jaylen Brown. And another blow to a top Eastern Conference team. The Pacers, Celtics, and Bucks have all lost superstars to torn Achilles. Haliburton, Jayson Tatum, Dame Lillard all suffering the injury this postseason. Meanwhile, the Knicks can't find a head coach after firing Tom Thibodeau, and the Cavs looking for answers after getting bounced in round 2, despite having the best record in the East. All right, welcome into Arbella Early Edition. We're going to deep dive the NBA right off the top. We got a great panel for you from WEEI. We have Rich Keefe, our Celtics insider, Chris Forsberg, and from Yahoo Sports, we have Kevin O'Connor. All right, I'm going to start with you, Kev. Seeing the state of the East, does it kind of, I don't know, maybe make sense for the Celtics? Let's make this Celtics-centric to make some big changes. Like now might be the time to have some seismic shifts.
I mean, it's absolutely open in the Eastern Conference, wide open. You have the Cavs, the Knicks, who don't have a head coach, the Magic, and after that, I mean, maybe you're hoping and praying Tatum can come back in March or April and maybe make a surprising run. But ultimately, it's going to have a lot to do with what is out there for the Celtics this week with the NBA draft on Wednesday and Thursday. But ultimately, Trenni, I do think it's going to be really interesting to see what way Boston goes because the East is open. You can make a run.
And look, when we were laying out the potential pathways this offseason, I even admitted, I was like, wow, like it makes some sense to think about hitting the reset button a little bit. And do you have to just because to get the finances in order to start looking for the future when Tatum is back and when he's healthy? But now I just look at the Eastern Conference. I'm like, I don't know. Feels so wide open. I don't know why you make any changes seismic-wise to this roster. And for me, it comes down to I'm leaning twice as hard now into Jaylen Brown. I think you throw him the keys. You say, look, this is your chance. You get us through this year. East is still wide open. We think you can get us to back to the finals with this core, and we'll ride it out until we get Tatum. But I again, all these injuries only add up for me feeling more bullish about the Celtics' chances.
Keefe, do you want them to make big changes, or are you more in Chris's camp where you're like, no, this is the opportunity now to keep everybody together and see what you can do?
So I think you can kind of blend it both. I think you can do a little bit of both. If you keep Jaylen Brown and Derek White and you figure out what you want to do with some of the older guys, some of the big contracts on your team, you can be ready to go hit the ground running when Jayson Tatum comes back in another year. But you can still be really competitive in that Eastern Conference. You saw all the flaws with all the different teams. Jaylen Brown is as good as anybody else's top guy. So I think they can maybe have this one both ways. Make a hard decision on either Porzingis or Holiday, but also still be in it. Don't trade away your top guys. That would be foolish to do anyway. The East clearly is wide open.
Chris, what has impacted your decision more? Tyrese Haliburton getting hurt or Kevin Durant staying in the West?
I mean, it all adds up together, right? Like when you look at it, part of what you digest the Durant to Houston, you say, well, okay, maybe the Pistons could have made a play for him. Maybe the Raptors could have done something seismic. Maybe that changes the way you look at the East. But until someone makes a move that you're like, ooh, they are prohibitively ahead of you in this conference, I think you ride with the guys that you have. And again, I'm with you, Keefe. Like, there's still changes are coming. Like, brace yourself. You're still probably moving Drew Holiday. You're maybe considering moving Sam Hauser. We'll see what happens with Porzingis, even if I think that's further down the road and once he's got a chance to reestablish his value. But I do think, like, I'm looking at a team with Jaylen Brown, Derek White, and whatever this front court looks like, hopefully a revitalized Kristaps Porzingis, that could be top 4 in the Eastern Conference. Like, we start doing the math and start trying to figure out who's ahead of them, and it's like, it's not incredibly daunting. Or if it is, it's teams that haven't quite proven themselves yet. Like Orlando, I love the makeup of that roster. I still need to see it. Detroit, same deal. And like the Knicks and Cavs got their own issues. So for me, it's just like, as time keeps going on, and everything that keeps happening, I'm in on it.
Well, obviously, everyone keeps talking about if you keep Jaylen Brown, did that become even more likely than it was a couple of days ago because of the Durant move? Or is there still a possibility that he could go to, say, San Antonio?
I'd say there's still a possibility. Perhaps not with the Spurs after they didn't make any type of reasonable offer for Kevin Durant. But the Houston Rockets, after getting Kevin Durant, still have 5 tradable first-round draft picks over the next 7 years and swaps and young guys guys, Jabari Smith, Reed Shepherd, Cam Whitmore, among others. So if Houston wanted to go get another guy, if Kevin Durant is their Ray Allen and they view Giannis or Jaylen Brown as their Kevin Garnett as the second guy they go get, they could make a strong offer. But to everybody's point we're talking about, considering how open the East is, I definitely think the probability of Giannis staying in Milwaukee, the Celtics saying we're keeping Jaylen Brown, we're keeping this core together, has risen for sure because it's so open. Like, why would you give up a chance to go get another title for maybe getting a quality young player with all the draft picks you get back?
Speaking of it being wide open, here are the obviously very early Eastern Conference odds for it next season. Cavs are the slight favorites at plus 250, followed by the Knicks. Celtics still with the third best odds despite losing Jayson Tatum. Orlando Magic, though, right behind the C's, followed by the 76ers, Pistons, Bucks. Pacers. Pacers are now plus 2,200 after the Haliburton injury. Where do you think? Are the Celtics really third? Because I honestly could argue that you could put Orlando, based on the move that they made to get Kentavious Caldwell-Pope, that now they become a more dangerous team.
Yeah, I think Orlando and maybe even Detroit I'd probably put above the Celtics right now, but I think fifth, which is nothing to sneeze at, because the Pacers would have been above you, but when you swap out the guys, I would put the Celtics above them. The Knicks, by the way, who knows if they try to do something drastic and maybe their roster looks a lot different. And the Cleveland Cavaliers are dealing with similar kind of constraints with how much they're paying their guys, so they might have to look a lot different too. But right now, I would feel safe to say they're a top 5 seed in the East.
Yeah, and think about it. Like, the Cavs have to make a move, right? Like, it's either Jared Allen or Darius Garland, who isn't going to be healthy at the start of the season. So they've got to make some sort of move that's going to bring them back to earth a little bit. Maybe they learned a little something about pacing themselves last year. Maybe Evan Mobley is just so much better this next year that they reestablish themselves. I think they'll be better prepared for the playoffs, but you got to get there. The Knicks, they can't even find a coach. Don't even talk to me until you figure out who your coach is and what that roster looks like. But that Sixers being on there like at that point is just so disrespectful to the Orlando Magic, who will legitimately be a force in the Eastern Conference with Bane and the way they look now. I think I'm more worried about the Pistons and the Magic. I keep saying this, and even the Pacers with the pieces they still have, than I am about the old guard.
Kev, everybody keeps bringing up the Pistons and the Magic. Pistons, Magic, young core, made some moves already this offseason. Are they really ahead of the Celtics?
I still wouldn't put, like, if I'm placing a bet on the 2026 champions, I'm not betting on this unproven Pistons team still. And with the Magic, yeah, maybe you consider them because Bane directly addresses their number one area of need with shooting. But they still need more shooting. They were 30th in the NBA in three-point percentage, 23rd in three-point attempts. They stink at shooting. They're the anti-Celtics. And until they solve that with more guys besides Bane, it's hard to take them seriously as a true contender. Whereas with Boston, there's the slim, tiny possibility of Tatum coming back later in the season. It's not completely unrealistic to think about a guy who idolizes Kobe Bryant wanting to come back in 9 months and doing it. So I still think Boston fourth probably is safe for the betting odds behind Orlando. But ultimately, as we're talking about, like, the draft hasn't even happened. The Cavaliers just tried to go get Kevin Durant by offering Darius Garland, according to local reports, John Gambadoro out of Phoenix. I've heard the same as well. So the East could still shake up a lot in the coming weeks for this entire offseason, and Boston could shake things up as well.